Mayor Tiffany Henyard, once seen as a strong leader, is now in trouble as her administration faces scandals and chaos. At the center of the controversy is her misuse of public funds. Reports show she spent town money on luxury hotels, expensive vacations, and even a shocking $440,000 shopping spree on Amazon, all charged to the town's credit cards. Dalton is a town where many people struggle financially, so these revelations have made residents angry. Critics accuse Henyard of caring more about herself than the town. Her leadership has caused political turmoil, and her aggressive style has alienated many people. She often attacks critics on social media, which has won her some supporters who see her as a fighter. However, others believe she lacks the professionalism needed to lead. As more allegations surface about her misuse of power, her once praised leadership is now under heavy criticism. She is losing control of her administration, and the situation has led to legal actions, including an FBI investigation. Her attempts to defend herself have only raised more questions, making her position even weaker. The community, which once supported her, is now demanding honesty and accountability. People are worried about the town's finances, which have worsened under her leadership. The Illinois State Comptroller even delayed payments to Dalton, possibly due to Henyard's failure to address financial problems. Instead of fixing these issues, she called a special meeting, which critics saw as an attempt to distract from the real problems. In a recent speech to an empty room, Henyard expressed frustration, making it clear that Dalton's government was in crisis. The town's trustees, who oversee operations, have distanced themselves from her. Many are now seeking legal advice on how to handle the growing scandals. Her unwillingness to cooperate has made it even harder to fix Dalton's financial troubles. Despite growing opposition, Henyard continues to frame the situation as a battle between herself and the political establishment. Her supporters see her as strong, but many residents are tired of the endless conflicts. The town's financial future remains uncertain, and faith in her leadership is fading. Political drama only deepened the sense of instability that had gripped Dalton for months. In an effort to curb her excessive spending, the township trustees implemented a new credit card policy aimed at controlling Henyard's unchecked use of public funds. Henyard's response was swift and forceful. She accused the trustees of undermining her authority and limiting her ability to govern effectively. In a public defense of her actions, she painted a bleak picture of the consequences, warning that the new policy could disrupt essential services. She even claimed that the policy might prevent the town from hosting its annual senior ice cream social, calling it a symbol of how the new policy would harm the community. For Hen's supporters, this analogy became a rallying cry. They painted the trustees as enemies of the people, willing to deprive the elderly of a simple pleasure in their fight to rein in the mayor's power. But for her, critics say Mayor Tiffany Henyard is out of touch with the real needs of Dalton. Instead of addressing serious problems, she uses weak arguments to justify her actions. This has only made people more frustrated, and as investigations continue, her power seems to be slipping. Henyard, once seen as a confident leader, is now under intense pressure. Her refusal to admit mistakes or work with the town's trustees has pushed Dalton toward financial collapse. As the town struggles, people wonder whether her time as mayor is ending, or if the conflict will drag on. No matter what happens, Dalton's leadership and finances may take years to recover. In response to the growing concerns, the town's trustees tightened rules on government credit card spending. Many saw this as necessary due to Henyard's financial mismanagement. However, she downplayed the issue by mentioning a canceled ice cream social, a move that only made her seem more out of touch. Despite the backlash, her supporters stand by her, believing that her critics are just trying to bring her down. But others argue that her wasteful spending and poor leadership have caused serious damage to Dalton's finances. The conflict between Henyard and the trustees has come to represent the town's larger political dysfunction. Dalton's future is uncertain as residents demand answers and accountability. With each new development, pressure on Henyard increases. People are questioning whether she can survive this crisis, or if her time as mayor is coming to an end. One thing is clear: the drama in Dalton is far from over, and its effects will likely be felt for years. At the center of the town's growing crisis is Henyard's extravagant spending, funded by taxpayer money. Lavish vacations, expensive shopping sprees, and stays at luxury hotels have angered residents, especially as the town struggles financially. Many feel their mayor is disconnected from their daily hardships, making it even harder to trust her leadership. Betrayal felt by many in response to her actions. The township trustees took steps to curb her spending by enacting a new credit card policy to limit her financial discretion. Henry Ard's response was swift and forceful, accusing the trustees of attempting to undermine her leadership and hinder her ability to govern effectively. In a public defense, she painted a dire picture of the consequences, warning that the new policy could disrupt the IL services to the community. She even claimed it could lead to the cancellation of a senior ice cream social, a seemingly trivial concern that nevertheless became a rallying cry for her supporters. For Henry's loyalists, in response to the growing concerns, the town's trustees tightened rules on government credit card spending. Many saw this as necessary due to Henyard's financial mismanagement. However, she downplayed the issue by mentioning a canceled ice cream social, a move that only made her seem more out of touch. Despite the backlash, her supporters stand by her, believing that her critics are just trying to bring her down. But others argue that her wasteful spending and poor leadership have caused serious damage to Dalton's finances. The conflict between Henyard and the trustees has come to represent the town's larger political dysfunction. Dalton's future is uncertain as residents demand answers and accountability. With each new development, pressure on Henyard increases. People are questioning whether she can survive this crisis, or if her time as mayor is coming to an end. One thing is clear: the drama in Dalton is far from over, and its effects will likely be felt for years. At the center of the town's growing crisis is Henyard's extravagant spending, funded by taxpayer money. Lavish vacations, expensive shopping sprees, and stays at luxury hotels have angered residents, especially as the town struggles financially. Many feel their mayor is disconnected from their daily hardships, making it even harder to trust her leadership. Betrayal felt by many in response to her actions. The township trustees took steps to curb her spending by enacting a new credit card policy to limit her financial discretion. Henry Ard's response was swift and forceful, accusing the trustees of attempting to undermine her leadership and hinder her ability to govern effectively. In a public defense, she painted a dire picture of the consequences, warning that the new policy could disrupt the IL services to the community. She even claimed it could lead to the cancellation of a senior ice cream social, a seemingly trivial concern that nevertheless became a rallying cry for her supporters. For Henry's loyalists, struggles of Dalton's residents have only widened the divide in the community. More people are starting to question Mayor Tiffany Henyard's priorities as tensions between her and the town's trustees continue to rise. The town is now deeply split. Some still support her, while others doubt her ability to lead. With growing public scrutiny and opposition from within the government, it's unclear whether Henyard's leadership can survive. Dalton, once united behind its mayor, is now searching for a leader who can bring stability and address its serious problems. The situation has become even more complicated with the emergence of whistleblower Carmen Carroll, a former ally of Henyard. Carroll has made serious accusations against the mayor, claiming that Henyard manipulated workers, vendors, and residents to maintain a false image of success. According to Carroll, Henyard used public money to fund her lavish lifestyle, including a shocking $440,000 Amazon shopping spree on the town's credit cards. This, along with other allegations of financial mismanagement, has outraged a community already struggling with economic instability and delayed state payments. Many residents, living paycheck to paycheck, are now questioning how such reckless spending was allowed to happen under Henyard's leadership. These revelations have led to increased demands for oversight and transparency in Dalton's government. The community is now asking how Henyard's financial misconduct went unchecked for so long. In response, Henyard has denied the accusations, calling them politically motivated attacks meant to damage her reputation. However, with growing evidence against her and an FBI investigation into her administration, it's becoming clear that the concerns about her leadership are serious. Henyard's refusal to take responsibility has only made the public more distrustful and increased the pressure on her leadership. As more details emerge, it seems unlikely that she will be able to survive this crisis. Dalton is now at a crossroads. and its residents are demanding answers and accountability. Once seen as a strong and promising leader, Henyard's political career is now in jeopardy. The scandals surrounding her administration have shocked and angered many in Dalton. Former allies like Carol have come forward with disturbing claims of unethical behavior, including extravagant spending on luxury hotels, expensive travel, and lavish dinners, all charged to the town's credit cards. For Dalton's struggling residents, the contrast between their financial hardships and Henyard's lavish spending has deepened their sense of betrayal. As the scandal continues to unfold, the future of Dalton and Henyard's leadership remains uncertain. Widespread feelings of betrayal among Dalton's residents who are left questioning how public funds could have been misused in such a way, and whether anyone in Dalton's government was overseeing the use of those funds. The controversy has led to widespread calls for reform and greater oversight, with many residents demanding answers about how their tax dollars were. The FBI investigation into Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration has added even more pressure on her. Once seen as untouchable, she is now under intense scrutiny. Dalton, a town that once supported its mayor, is now divided. Some still stand by her, while others have turned against her. With each new revelation, it seems less likely that she will regain the trust of the community. The scandal surrounding Henyard has also revealed deeper issues in Dalton's government, particularly the lack of oversight and accountability that allowed financial mismanagement to go unchecked for so long. Despite her denials and attempts to shift blame, the evidence against her is mounting. Critics argue that her actions reflect a culture of self-interest and irresponsibility in local government, one that put her personal luxuries ahead of the town's needs. As the investigation into Henyard continues, the future of Dalton remains uncertain. Will these revelations lead to real change, or will the dysfunction in local government continue? One thing is clear: Henyard's political career, once full of promise, is now defined by scandal. The impact of her actions may be felt for years to come. Tensions in Dalton, Illinois, have reached a breaking point. Henyard, who once had widespread support, is now caught in a web of financial mismanagement and corruption that has eroded public trust. Her extravagant spending on lavish vacations, expensive dinners, and personal indulgences stands in sharp contrast to the financial struggles of Dalton's residents. Many feel betrayed by her actions and are demanding accountability. In just 2 years, Dalton's financial health has collapsed, from a $5.61 million surplus to a $3.65 million deficit. The town is already feeling the consequences, with delayed state payments adding to an already fragile economy. Critics say Henyard's failure to address these financial issues shows her disregard for the public's welfare. The ongoing scandal has put Henyard's political future in serious jeopardy. Pressure is growing from both the public and government officials, making it more likely that her time in office will come to an end. The investigation has now taken a more serious turn, with former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot leading efforts to uncover the truth about Dalton's financial crisis. As more details emerge, residents are left questioning whether Henyard can ever regain their trust. Public outrage continues to grow, and many wonder if this scandal will lead to meaningful reforms, or just become another chapter in Dalton's history of government dysfunction. One major reason for the rising discontent is Henyard's combative behavior. Instead of taking responsibility for the accusations, she has repeatedly claimed to be the victim of a smear campaign, despite overwhelming evidence of her reckless spending. This has raised serious concerns about transparency and accountability in her administration. In response, the FBI has launched a full investigation into her actions, and the Illinois State Comptroller has suspended state funding for Dalton due to ongoing financial mismanagement. As the crisis deepens, Dalton's future remains uncertain, and Henyard's leadership hangs by a thread. As federal authorities continue to investigate Mayor Tiffany Henyard's finances, tensions in Dalton have reached an all-time high. The crisis worsened when audits revealed additional financial mismanagement, further exacerbating the town's already dire financial situation. During a chaotic town meeting, Henyard, armed with a golden microphone, lashed out at critics in a dramatic display that resembled a reality TV-style confrontation. While her dwindling supporters claim she is fighting for political survival in a hostile environment, Her opponents argue that she is desperately clinging to power at any cost. Her controversial decision to reappoint Deputy Police Chief Robert Lacey, despite his indictment for bankruptcy fraud and administrative leave, fueled further division in the town, sparking yet another court battle. Henyard's increasingly erratic leadership style has alienated many residents, and town meetings have devolved into shouting matches and public demonstrations, demanding her resignation. With a lack of transparency, ongoing scandals, and deepening internal strife, despite the mounting evidence against her, Henyard continues to reject responsibility for the crisis, deepening the divide within the community. While some still rally behind her, many others are calling for her resignation as her grip on power weakens. Dalton now stands at a crossroads, uncertain of its future. Efforts by township trustees to curb Henyard's extravagant spending have been consistently vetoed by the mayor, further isolating her even from former allies. In response to the financial mismanagement under her leadership, Dalton's government brought in former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot to investigate Henyard's administration. However, Lightfoot's findings only raised more concerns, revealing that Dalton's finances were in complete disarray, with taxpayer dollars being misappropriated for lavish vacations and personal luxuries. Public outrage boiled over when Lightfoot publicly criticized Henyard's leadership, sarcastically dubbing her super mayor, to highlight the absurdity of the situation. Henyard, however, fiercely opposed the investigation, calling it unconstitutional and obstructing Lightfoot's efforts to uncover the full extent of the financial mismanagement. Her refusal to accept accountability, combined with constant deflections and attempts to rewrite the narrative, has only deepened the divide in Dalton. As the investigation intensifies and calls for transparency grow louder, Henyard's political future remains uncertain. Once a dominant figure in the community, she is now struggling to maintain her hold on power as frustration over the scandals, lack of transparency, and financial instability continues to mount. Adding to the controversy is the Tiffany Henyard Care Foundation, which claimed to support cancer patients, but is now under fire for allegedly misusing taxpayer funds. Just 1 month after its founding, the township approved a $10,000 donation to the foundation, raising serious concerns about conflicts of interest. The situation worsened when Henyard organized a 10-day walk and bike ride across the state, supposedly to raise funds for a breast cancer bill that was never even filed. The trip, covering lodging, food, and supplies, was funded with taxpayer money, including payments for professional photography. Even local police officers were diverted from their regular crime-fighting duties to provide security for Henyard during the event. This blatant misuse of public resources has only intensified public outrage, with many questioning the mayor's priorities. As the FBI investigation continues to uncover more scandals, Henyard's political empire is crumbling. Her reputation is deteriorating rapidly, and the community, exhausted by constant infighting and lack of transparency, is increasingly calling for her resignation. At a recent town hall meeting, one frustrated trustee captured the public's growing frustration, stating, "I wish the FBI was around the corner, so they could raid this place because they all need to go to jail." This sentiment reflects the widespread demand for justice and accountability in Dalton. However, many residents remain skeptical about whether Henyard will face real consequences. Some believe she will be forced out due to mounting pressure, while others doubt she will ever be held accountable. One disgruntled supporter cynically remarked, "Henyard won't see the inside of a jail." This statement reflects deep public frustration, as many wonder whether systemic corruption will shield her from any real punishment. Henyard's reckless misuse of public funds has been compared to a careless spouse draining a family's bank account with no regard for financial stability. This analogy highlights the stark contrast between her extravagant spending and the financial hardships faced by Dalton's residents. Once confident in her power, Henyard, who once proudly called herself super mayor, is now scrambling to hold on to her position. As Dalton grapples with the fallout